Good morning, everybody. It is 8:15 a.m. It is May 11th. Pretty volatile day yesterday with the CPI print coming out. Very crazy market. Up, down, up, right? Pretty crazy. Not an easy read and pretty crazy. NASDAQ broke key level of resistance. ES tried to break it but couldn't really hold above it. So tell two stories here, right? Financials are weak again, the regional banks today. So have to see how that affects everything. Um, Hope everybody had a good day yesterday. My trading day was a red day yesterday. Two trades early, and then I decided to just say, you know what? I don't like the way this market's moving. I have levels that are important, but it's hard to find entries, so I just took the rest of the day and just like sat back. So that's what I chose to do yesterday. Um, let's get into this. Quick introduction. My name is Steven Gonzalez. Welcome to my channel. I use volume profile, market profile to read the market, along with supply and demand and key levels and gamma exposure levels that are very important, as well as gamma foot points in the market. Those determine positive and negative gamma. Very important levels, right? That's how I use to trade stocks, futures, indexes, options, all that, right? So welcome. Of course, trying to grow this channel. Subscribe, set an alert, share with your friends. Much appreciated. As always, give me that big like. As always, you can also follow me on Twitter at Gonzo719 and Instagram Gonzo719 Jersey. Now let's get into watch lists. What do we have going here? We have PPI coming up at 8:30 and jobless claims. So let's look at. All right, so 30-year bonds are being bought. Okay, that should drive yield lower, 10-year yield lower. Nasdaq is up 0.35. The dollar is up, moving around on me here. ES is up 0.15. Gold is flat. Okay, 10-year yield doesn't report till 8:20. The Russell, we just got a pump. Yep. As I'm speaking, we're getting a big jump right now in the market. Huge, actually. We just pulled back, and now we're firing higher. So that's why it's jumping around on me here. So that look, the Nasdaq's up to 0.35. The dollar is up. ES is up 0.15. Gold is now slightly up. Crude is slightly up. Russell is break even. Russell was down just earlier. It was in the 173s. Now it's a 174.60. So that's a big move. Crude's flat. Dow is slightly down. Bitcoin slightly down. Ether's down 1.16. Silver is the biggest one on the chart that's hurt, down 2.19%. And the VIX is slightly elevated. Okay, let's move on. BABA up 2.28%. I got that on watch. I want to see it hold 85.30. Okay, that is a stock I have on watch. Been beaten down. If it holds this 85.30, has a good chance to go higher. Okay, and Baba kind of does his own thing sometimes. All right, next up, Google had that conference with speaking about AI and the search, and so that catapulted this stock as of late. AMD's up 1.15%. Okay, let's go to laggards. So we have Microsoft's down 0.33. Netflix is down 0.6. Now, the only thing I can think about Netflix is its sympathy play to Disney, who lost a ton of subscribers. Okay, but I'm really looking at Netflix. I'll pull back to 330. Okay, it's not Netflix news, but it's probably the streaming news of Disney hurting, right? Um, so I noticed that Block got a downgrade as well. So Coin, I'm interested in Coin. If it can pull back to 60 and hold it, and the market firms up, I'm interested in that. And Nvidia, I'd like it to see it break 290, hold it. I'm interested in along there. So those are just little stocks I'm watching. Not little stocks, but all right, moving on. Who's that leader? Roblox. Roblox. And Roblox got an upgrade. Okay, I did just recently report it, but they got an upgrade. Okay, up 2.65%. 40 is a key level there. Okay, Salesforce up 0.34, and then we go down and we got Disney's down 5.18% because of losing subscribers to their streaming platform. Okay, moving on. Sectors. All right, communications getting love, right? That'd be Google. Okay, and then the weakness is coming from financials, basic materials, and energy. Now we just made that big move up, and now it has a big wick at the top in the markets. So whatever that was, that might have been news driven or something. You know, you have to see. Alrighty, let's move over to some news before we look at the data coming out at 8:30. So obviously today we got PPI, 8:30 core PPI. PPI month over month, forecasted for zero point 0.1. Previous was negative zero point 0.5. Consensus is 0.3. Okay, core PPI forecasted for 0.2. Consensus is 0.2, and the previous was 0.1. So they're looking for actually upticks in core PPI, right? And in jobless claims, forecasted for 248, right? Previous was 242. So curious to see where that comes in. And then we got Fed Waller speaking, which could move the market at 10:15 a.m. Okay, so that's what we have there. And as far as where's my investor? Here we go. Here's some of the news. Walt Disney, but then this is the financial, the regional banks. PanQuest Bancorp stock fell 20% on investors' concern for its future, even after the regional lender said it has 15 billion of immediately available liquidity. Okay, Hood stock rose 3.1%. Let's see what else here. That's really all I wanted to speak about there. Bank of England was doing some stuff today. Let's see here. This debt ceiling obviously is something in the markets. That's really all. We could just get to the daily chart. We'll come back to this when they reports. Will it be a market mover? I'm not sure. CPI is usually the bigger market mover. All right, we can move over to the dailies. Okay, so let's zoom in here. So wild day. You can see we opened here, came all the way down to here, pretty much down to the lows of this candle, and then we got a huge buy in excess. Okay, closed here. So this 414 level was the level, 414.40 was the level you needed to hold. Couldn't do it. Okay, where are we at now? 413.15. We're about right there. Probably like at the midpoint of yesterday's range. That profile is still very balanced. Okay, still very balanced. But if you notice, just to point that out, the weekly and monthly flip point of gamma now is at 413. Where are we at right now? 413, 15, 18. So that breaks negative gamma below it, holds positive gamma below. So really at a crucial part in the market in the SPY. Okay. You can see the weeks, we're just in this range. Right now we're basically closed in the middle of last week. Market doesn't know what it wants right now. Moving on, Qs. So the Qs can see broke 323, 76 level. It broke that level. Okay. So that's the difference, right? It pretty much came down to these lows of these days, almost at the 8 EMA daily and this anchored VWAP from FOMC, and got huge buying excess here. So they opened here, came down, made a move up, but then closed here. Where are we now? 326.11. We're gapping higher right now. We're right about at the highs of yesterday. Okay. Where are we at in the profile? All right, so we finally made some excess up here. See that? The breakout. And there's no surprise here that 324 is the weekly and monthly flip point for gamma. So that is the level you want to see held. And that's the level I'm going to look to go long if we hold here. If we fall, expect some weakness, initial weakness. If we can come above it, expect the market to move higher. But just to reiterate, you kind of made excess now at the top with that breakout. Before it was here. The profile was right here. So it had like a bullish imbalance. Okay. Let's look at the weeklies. You can see that level was just holding the market and it finally broke out. Now, is it going to be a test or is it going to be continuation and we move to 330? If we fall back into range, we should fall all the way back to at least 314. Okay. Moving on. The Dow. So the Dow moved away, closed away from the most traded price of the year, of the rolling year. All right, 337. Okay, so it's got a lot of work to get through this level. Let's zoom in. So you're in this range right now here from right 337. Went all the way down here. Okay. So obviously opened here, came all the way down, closed here. Where is it now? 334.75. So all the way down here. It's in the middle of the range from yesterday. So weaker, right? Just to give you an example here, right now the KRE, the ETF for regional banks, is down 1.43%. PACW is down 20.89% pre-market, and I don't even think that's trading now. Yeah. So those are the two things I'm looking at there. And let's get into the profile. Very balanced. So over the last 30 days, you see a distribution here, which is the most traded price of this month, like the last 30 days is 338. Okay, but we're making another distribution here around 335. Now you notice the flip point for gamma is 335. Where are we right now? 335.01. So this has got to hold. We go negative gamma below it or positive gamma above it. Okay, very key levels in all the indexes today for gamma flip points. All right, you got our weeklies. Just a bunch of buying excess here, right? Here's that 10-week EMA. Cannot close below it yet. If you get it closed below that, I would say that could change the tone. And I freaking missed the data come out. Apologize for that. All right, so data came out. Got carried away with the daily charts there. Let's see here. Actual 0.2. PPI month over month 0.2. Forecasted for 0.1. So that is a miss. And look at the previous, negative 0.4. So that's pretty a decent uptick, right? But the core PPI forecasted for zero point 0.2 came out as 0.2. So that was in line, the core PPI. But PPI, as it is, was worse. Okay, initial jobless claims forecasted for 248. Well, this would be on the more the bullish side because now more people are filing, initial jobless claims. So that was higher. So that means the Fed interest rate hikes are working per se. Okay, but PPI, woof, in line with core, but hot in PPI month over month, right? So let's really quickly look at the Fed, what that did to the Fed target rate. All right, so we're at a 93%, 93.9% chance of a pause right now, 6% chance of a quarter point rate hike. So after the PPI. Now, I don't see much movement really in the market from these numbers. It's kind of stagnant. So right now a nothing burger. Right now a nothing burger. All right, we can go back to the daily charts. We can go to the Russell, which has got that weakness from the regional banks. You can just see the weakness, right? Right at the most traded price, 173, right? So let's get in here from this drop. So look at that, very interesting, right? It was strong right off the open, but then it only ticked up a little bit to go all the way down here. Hit the FOMC anchored VWAP, and then we closed here. Okay, so close underneath the 20-day simple moving average. We're just in this range right here. Right here, right? Where are we at now? 174.10. So we are right like in the middle of the range from yesterday. So that's weakness. And that's why the Nasdaq doesn't have this financial component, so it's not going to be as weak as the ES and the Dow and the Russell. Okay, let's look at the profile for the 30 days. All right, so you see this big distribution up here. We have a double distribution. So right here, most traded price. Now check out the gamma flip points here. This week's flip point is 174, so we're right underneath that, and the monthly flip point is 175. So we're underneath that, both of those, which means we're in negative gamma for the Russell. Okay, let's look at the weeklies. We're just in this range. All right, we can move on. Triple-headed monster. All right, so all right, yields going down. I thought that I knew that would happen with the bonds being bought. So yields are going down. All right, so this would mean if we hit down to 3.2, market should get a bump up. Okay. Excuse me. That's that. Well, let's look at the VIX. Well, the VIX is at 17.31. Really got to break this. Set an alert. Really got to break this to get any kind of more downside. You see, yesterday we did, but then that was short-lived. Let's look at the dollar. All right, dollar's getting some life today, but you need to really break out of this 101.83 to see if it can reach 102.22. Holding support at 101.42. But it's just a mess, really, the dollar, if you look at it. I mean, this is horrible. It's ugly. So, it's really indecision in the dollar. All right, let's go to the market profile, volume profile. I'm just going to change charts here. That news did nothing to the market. Nothing. Alrighty, let's look at that ES. You can see the balance, right? And this is obviously overnight with real-time trading hours. And you can see the big profile, just like the SPY. We're going to go over it all. What do we have here? Okay, so for the last week, rolling week, look at the profile. That is a bell curve. That is balance. So we got our big print yesterday. So in the ES, right, we're just balancing still. Right? Now look at the monthly profile, the orange. It's balanced pretty much as well. We're just need to pick a direction. And the financials is weighing down the S&P, the Dow, and the Russell. That's why the Nasdaq is just doing its thing. Okay. Now, next thing we got to look at is our key levels, right? So we have our most traded price of the week is at 41.35. And these levels are now scattered. Okay. They're still here because it's showing balance, right? This is the most traded price of the month. What is that price? 41.55. Then we have our most traded price of this year. Call it 41.48, 41.48. Okay? So they're just all in here. That just shows you the balance. When all of them are together, that just shows you the balance. Okay? And where's price? In the middle of all this crap. So this is indecision. This is chop zone in here. That's what that is. So you need financials to just start getting strong in order for the ES, the S&P 500 to make that move higher. Okay, you see this resistance level here, 41.64. It could not, it popped above it, right here. couldn't hold it in the real-time trading session yesterday. Even the overnight peaked above it and fell below it. Okay, so now let's look at where we're at compared to yesterday, right? So big range yesterday. Notice that this came down to a gap, but didn't even fill the gap, didn't even touch it, but it came down almost to an old gap that it didn't. It's still not filled. Okay, so that was where the low was yesterday. All right, the midpoint of yesterday was 41.41. Okay, so this is our overnight low and our overnight high. Very balanced. Look, we opened here and we have almost equal selling and equal buying. This is the midpoint. Doesn't tell us a lot either. Now you can see overnight there was a lot of volume building higher. So this is a bullish imbalance here. That was probably queuing up for a move higher, and then it couldn't hold this level and all this volume got taken out. So I can show you that splitting out the profile here of what happened here. So all that volume was long all the way up here, and then when this broke, boom, went all the way down here. So basically those shorts had, the longs had to liquidate their position. So that happened already. So it's just in the middle of a lot of crap right now. All right. So it's pretty easy to see what we have to do today. You got to get out of that mess. You got to get out of this mess. It's very messy. Okay. Now what do we have above us? We have a weak high right here. All right, so I would call it 41.68. That's a weak high. Why is that? It's because big institutions and banks don't trade like these micro levels. They don't care about that. Traders like me and you do. So when you have a nuanced level like that, there's shorts there. Okay, so if we do manage to come up here again and knock on that door a third time, there's a good shot it breaks it. And then you can move up to this gap, fill that gap. That could propel us forward, but you have to look for financials to catch a bid. So that's the nuance. We got our weak high, right? That's what we have here. Now, another nuance. There's a weak low here. Okay, let's look at that. Yesterday's most traded price was right here. Okay, that price is around 41.46. Happens to also be the overnight low. Now I want to make everybody understand why I'm saying this is a weak low. Right? Because we opened here, came all the way down here. So look, you'd have longs from here. Right? Longs from there. Now the most traded price was here, so you're going to have initiated longs here. Those, think of everybody in stocks that went long and in the indexes went long, and they closed here. We went all the way back up to here, but we closed here, right? So everyone's long from there and from here. So this is a very pivotal level right here. It doesn't mean the market falls apart, but it definitely means that if we come down here with volume and push, I could see us going at least down to here, the monthly VWAP. So now that I told you about the weak high and the weak low, those are the pivot points that I'm going to be looking at. Now let's get into that plan. Okay. So we're in the middle of the muddle. I'm actually don't really have much of a bias, so I'm pretty open. So let's just talk about the long. Okay, so the last line of defense for me would be, for a long, there's a couple things here that I'll mention. Let's talk about the week high. So if the market manages to move up here, comes back up to this key resistance level, okay, breaks that week high right here. Now it could just keep going. But I would, however, would like it to break it, come back to this level, and then you can take. Then the market can move higher, fill the gap, go up to what is that, like 41.83, and then there's a naked VPOC up at 41.89, call it, that the market could go to. So that's one. Okay, but we're down here. So what could happen too is, like I said, this weak low could be taken out. So this is okay if you still want to be long, right? Because you got your most traded price of the week here and you got your monthly VWAP. So if we come down here, even if we pop our head down to this demand, right? There's demand right here, and move up and kind of hold monthly VWAP, market could catch a bid. You'd want to target, market could hit the most traded price of yesterday and then start moving up. You'd have to go past these big levels, but probably there'd be short covering. Then you could see if we reach yesterday's high, fill this gap. That's what I see for the long side. Okay, let's go for the short side. Okay, now we have the weak low here that I talk about. That's our key pivot point. Not an easy trade. Not an easy trade. Okay, the harder trade is if we open and slam down. I mean, that's a scalp. But I'm not a big fan of just push. I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, so the market could. What I'd like to see, really, is one or two things happen. Well, actually, I would like to see this open up and push up a little bit into this level. Let's see the market breathe a little bit. If it gets some weakness and starts to come through here with volume, you could get the quick flush. Boom. Right to this most traded price of the week and monthly VWAP. Potentially hit this demand. Okay. So the market could wham down here. I'd be probably wanting to take some, if the market moves here, I'd be like very cautious. All right. If you want to keep any kind of hope that the market keeps here, you'd want to see the market hold here and eventually go back to yesterday's lows, and maybe you can fill the gap. This is on big weakness that has to happen. The other short that someone might want to look at if the market gets weak is if we do come up here again and we can't seem to hold up here, well then you can, market could fold too. But remember, we're in balance. So those are the things I see for the ES. Financials has to catch a bid in order for the ES to move higher. You can't just have financials be weak. Okay. All right, let's look at the Nasdaq. All right, as always, here's our weekly profile. Look at that. Jeez. You got this excess here, and now we're making excess up here. Okay, you got our most traded price of the week in the month is right here. Call it 132. We're above that level. Okay, so you have to be biased to the bull side for the Nasdaq. Okay, here's that key resistance level of 133.58. Well, we held above it, and we're still holding above it. Now this is very cool. Here we got our big levels we're holding above, our big resistance we're holding above, and now we're in supply right now. And you just have to see if we can start to, possibly move this most traded price of the week up higher. That should fuel the move higher. What I'm being honest with you, what I'm looking for is a little push up to maybe come back and test this level, and that would really be, because then you get this liquidity that comes back down, shorts that come back down, that you have to then cause them pain to move higher. Okay, so now let's look at where we're at. Okay, yesterday's high, yesterday's low. This is the overnight high, overnight low. Very balanced profile. Very balanced profile. Okay, now the beauty of this, I always say big moves, you look at the 50% move, the mid of yesterday, which is the 50% Fibonacci, would be right here, 133.55. Now guess what that lines up with? That resistance. And also what's here? Most traded price of yesterday. What's also here? A demand zone. So that's primed for the market to do something like this, and this holds. You really, look at stocks, what stocks are doing, and that could be the fuel where it finally launches the Nasdaq. Okay, so that's very pivotal point here. This area, it's kind of the pivot point. Now, of course, the market could just rip higher. Of course, it could do that. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that. There's not a lot of liquidity up here to just, you need liquidity. So right now we're holding this. You think of this, we closed up here, and look, we're holding the higher prices, which could move the most traded price of the week higher. That also would mean we're probably going higher. Okay, so the pivot point right here. So I have to be biased long in the Nasdaq. Okay, I don't like where it is now, but I like if we come down with some weakness, get liquidity, right? Okay, so let's go into the plan. Okay, so obviously the market could rip. Then I just watch it. I don't really do anything. I'm looking at stocks probably. Okay. However, what I'd love to see, if it could move up and then we get some selling, the market could come down here, and this is the pivot point, right? I already talked about it. Most traded price, demand, 50% Fibonacci of yesterday's move. Okay. Key resistance level of 133.58. Market could come down here, pop a little bit, shake some shorts out that think they're going to short it. It firms up. It starts holding above it. Then you gotta hope the market rips higher, right? Market could hit yesterday's highs right about here, and then see how high it could take us. Okay, that's a really good bet, and this lines up with that flip point in the Qs, the gamma flip point. Okay, what also could happen, and this is still bullish, is the market could come down and break this. And now we're dealing with the monster level, the big bear bull line in the Qs, which is also has a demand zone, a 9 EMA daily down here. And that also could be the launch point for the market to go higher. So I'm not really interested in a short per se in the Nasdaq, just because I want to go with the easiest play is a long right now. However, if you have to bring it up, right? It's just the opposite of the trade I'm saying, right? So if the market moves higher and it can't sustain it, and you start making some lower highs, market could fall, like I said, right here. If you want to be a short, then it could possibly fall to here, which is also the big levels. And then you got monthly VWAP, you got this big demand zone, so it's not going to be easy for the shorts, but obviously it could, you know, it eventually come back down here. But like I said, that's probably a harder trade. But that's what I'm seeing. Okay. Real quickly before I go, I'm gonna hit you with the watch list real quick. I'm just gonna bring up some hourly charts here. And I have some fibs that I put on. So I just put a fib on from here to here, and then the ES, right? And this is the crazy movement from yesterday, but from this low, I put a fib on to this high. And you can see 50% retracement of this is 4140. Okay? You can see we're hanging around the most traded price again, right? Most traded price of the year is right here. So last line of defense, it's beautiful how it lines up, right? So 50% Fibonacci is here. Then the most traded price of the week is here, right? But look what's right there. The last line of defense is 61.8, 41.33. But you got demand here, so I'd be very, very careful with the pullback here, because that could be the launch point for the ES. Okay, now you got some liquidity in the ES. See, there's some shorts all the way down to here now. You make a move higher, they're gonna have to start covering. Okay, moving on. Now the Qs is the one that's got the pretty setup, really pretty setup. All right, so I took a fib from this candle. Okay, what's beautiful about it is, well, now I gotta change this. Hold on a second. It actually made a little move higher, so I'm just gonna go up to this high. Okay. So what's beautiful about this fib is, just like I was talking about before, it kind of lines up with this key resistance area. Okay, so if this Qs decides, now you got, like, see this right here, got some support here. If that breaks, you know, market could easily come down here, like I said, to the 50% Fibonacci. And this is where that area where I said has confluence, right? It's the resistance. So people will be looking to buy that. You got the most traded price of yesterday. You got demand. All right there. So that's why I said if it comes back here, really be careful. And you got this trend line here too. Okay. And just for curiosity, I just want to put a profile on just this move. Let's see what that looks like. All right, so the most traded price is up here from this move. Okay. So you can see the volume that's been trading up here. This is definitely a bullish imbalance, which means that you'd make a higher move. You could pull back to this 38.2 right here as well. But we have to see. I'm really more interested in this pullback, but you have to see. I mean, some stocks like Apple are really at the top of the range. Microsoft, I mean, there's some stocks that made some moves. Amazon, AMD, like they've made some moves. Google, very interesting to see what happens. All right. Well, as always, subscribe if you haven't already. Set an alert. Much appreciated. Give me a big like. Helps me out. All right. As always, you got my Twitter and my Instagram. And got our plans. Really like the NASDAQ setup. Really like it. So that's either me looking to accuse long or Nvidia long, Baba long, Netflix long, coin long. That's what I'm looking at. But all that has to happen, you know, you need that liquidity. You need the market to give you those shorts in order to get long and get that move higher, right? You don't want to short a top of a range. It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so we got our plans, and wish everybody luck. Stay green today. I'm definitely going to be patient. Wait. The little thing I got from yesterday for myself was, as soon as I saw the market was wild on my first trade, which I thought was a good one, and it was looking good, a long and SPY. However, then the market got very volatile, and then what I now my rule is, if I see that, I'm just going to sit back and only wait until major levels get hit. I really got to just sit back and wait for an extreme level to get hit. That's like a rule I'm going to implement now, because once you see kind of movement that's kind of like not easy to read and it's kind of wild, it's time to step back. And then I got to wait for really big levels to get hit and see what they do. Okay, so 323 was that level yesterday in the Qs. Okay, so that was a major level. Anyway, that's it for me. I'll try to do an update later. Hopefully we have a great day, and hopefully I can do another trade, do another short on it. I mean, short like for YouTube short, and it helps you guys out. And of course, any questions you guys have, please feel free to ask. And that will be it for me. All right, guys, have a great day.